So I'm going to sell out real quick. If you guys aren't subscribed and you guys want to see more videos like this, where it's just kind of lists, please subscribe to the channel. It's the giant subscribe button below. And also, leave a comment and give me a thumbs up to help me in the YouTube algorithm. Now let's get into it. So starting it off is Enhancement Shaman. What makes Enhancement Shaman really fun? I'll kind of show the one-shot here. And I'll kind of explain, I guess, why the one-shot kind of makes the build. In case you don't know, Doom Winds is completely broken right now. Pretty much Shamans will drop a Wind Fury totem, pop cooldowns, and pretty much one-shot you pretty regularly. So that's kind of why it's #1 at the spot, and also my personal all-time favorite spec. I've also just always loved Enhancement Shaman. I just always liked the fantasy of it. I liked the dual-wield aspect of it, and I mean, the damage of it is very existent right now. There's downsides to enhancement, but I don't really want to go over it. I guess the downside would be mobility is kind of in the shitter, but let's get into it. Let's get into the burst. So you'll see Shamans, pop Wolves, pop Bloodlust, pop Wind Fury Totem, and then just kind of do this to healers. Just watch my burst if you really want to. Also, Chain Harvest. I mean, I think we all know what Chain Harvest does at this point. Anyway, that's the Enhancement Shaman burst, and that's mainly why it's on this list. You'll see I hit almost 10k damage. Wind Fury, of course, doing an incredible amount of damage, and then Ascendance and Wind Strike kind of following up, but Wind Fury, it just absolutely destroys healers right now. If you go on a cloth person, I've Storm Striked someone like twice, and they just get completely wiped from resistance off of my screen, so Enhancement Shaman Burst is really good. On top of that, I feel like on the kind of caster heavy meta right now, Grounding Totem is absolutely outstanding right now. 30-second cooldown, redirects spells for 3 seconds unless the enemy purposely attacks it. So Grounding Totem is really good. Our survivability is kind of okay right now compared to last expansion. Earth Shield increases Healing Surge healing by 20%, so that's really nice. And then, of course, Healing Surge mixed with Maelstrom Power. It just gives you a lot of health for very little requirement. I'll try and generate some Maelstrom here. There we are. So we throw Earth Shield on ourselves, throw a Healing Surge. How much will it heal for? 12,000. 13,000. A third of my health. If you take Swelling Waves, that's another 50% of that 13,000. So, quick maths. 6,500 on top of 13,000. So it's pretty much half of my health from one Healing Surge. That's kind of why the healing is really good. So healing's really good, burst is really good. Damage, consistent damage is pretty good in my opinion. The only hard part is, of course, what I mentioned earlier, sticking on a healer. Aside from that, of course, we have Tremor Totem, really good against Warlocks, Spheres, Sleeps, all of that. Astral Shift, 40% damage reduction, 12 seconds. Wish this had a 1-minute cooldown, and our defensiveness is kind of our weakest point as enhancement. So, I don't know, Astral Shift, it's really nice when you take a lot of damage. Capacitor Totem, Earthbind as well for obvious battleground stuns, and Chain Harvest, of course, for the kind of massive normal chain lightning kind of fantasy where it just completely pummels teams and always hits for 10,000. So, in conclusion, our damage is really good. Our healing's pretty okay. Our survivability is a little bit on the lower end, but that's okay. I mean, the burst windows make up for it, in my opinion. Enhancement, it's just my #1, man. It's really fun to me, and I've always liked it, so #1 on the list, Enhancement. I really, really sincerely suggest you guys roll this class, because it is the most fun in Shadowlands out of all the classes I play. But #2 on the list is Shadow Priest, and I guess Shadow Priest is best described as, it's almost like a healer that just does really good damage. And what I mean by that is we have a lot of defensiveness mixed with just really, really, really good damage right now and dot pressure. So let's talk about the defensiveness first. Let's go over all of the defensive abilities that we have. We have Psychic Core, a 4-second stun. We have Powered Shield, just a random shield we can spam every 7.5 seconds. We have Desperate Prayer, which just heals us for max health. We have Dispersion, which just reduces the damage we take and also gives us health with certain talents. Psychic Scream, which is a fear. Vampiric Embrace, which is a heal. Greater Fade, which is pretty much a 45-second bubble, which you can heal yourself in. You have Dispel Magic, which is essentially a Shaman Purge. And then, I'm pretty sure that's all of the defensiveness for the most part. This isn't counting, of course, Devouring Plague healing when you have multiple targets dotted, and Vampiric Touch healing, which amounts to a good bit in Battlegrounds. So we're really, really tanky for a Clothwear. We also have 15% damage reduction from Focused Will. So we have all of those. We have stuns, fears, mind controls, heals, everything, immunities, pretty much anything, any defensive you can think of, Shadow Priest kind of has it. And then on top of that, pretty good control and really good damage now. I've had Shadow Priests more or less one-shot me when they're playing well. I'll attempt to show the burst here, and this burst will not be 100% accurate, but I will do my best to show you guys kind of the burst potential Shadow Priest has. So let's use some cooldowns. Void Eruption, of course, is our main damaging cooldown. Power Infusion, of course, is our second damaging cooldown. Void Torn, in my opinion, is just really fun to run. It does a lot of channel damage, and it's essentially like a Chaos Bolt for Shadow Priest. Again, the strength of this spec comes from multi-dotting, the healing you get from multi-dotting, and the healing you get from Devouring Plague as well, and then, of course, the damage that just goes along with those damage over times. Another really good thing about Shadow Priest right now is our Mastery got changed. Pretty much increases the damage you do to a target for every damage over time spell you have on a target. So you'll notice 3 damage over time spells, it's going to be 18% damage increase. So with Shadow Priest, you always kind of want to channel Void Torrents when you have 3 damage over time spells and whatnot. Also, of course, the reason Mind Games hits so hard right now is because, of course, it naturally just hits for a good amount of damage, but that damage amplification on top of our Mastery to increase that Mind Games damage kind of gives us that, like, foot up to get really good burst off on call. This is no cooldowns. Mind Games hits for 5,700 on the target, which is pretty absurd. 5.7k non-crit on a 184 item level Shadow Priest. It's strong. I've gotten hit upwards of 15,000 from really geared Shadow Priests, so that is something to keep in mind. In conclusion, like, Shadow Priests are just, like, we have everything right now. There's no downside to Shadow Priests other than casting, but we have really good heals, we have really fun legendaries. There's a certain legendary, Measured Contemplation, where it increases the healing of Shadowmen by a ridiculous amount, so that's really good, and it just increases your healing that much more. It's just ridiculous control. Really good damage, really good burst right now with Mastery and Mind Games, and then just incredible defensiveness from Dispersion, Psychic Scream, Greater Fade, normal heals, Mind Control, Vampiric Embrace. All of those things. It's why it's on this list. It's a very fun playstyle as well. I enjoy, you'll notice a few of these dots, or a few of these specs are just dot specs. I enjoy the dot playstyle. That's why Shadow Priest is kind of number 2 on this list. But number 3 is Balanced Druid. There should be no surprise here. I find Balanced Druid to be incredibly fun right now just because of the Starfall Stellar Drift talent. Increases Starfall duration by 2 seconds, its damage by 15, and allows you to cast while moving, while it is active. Allows you to cast while moving, while it is active. No cooldown on this. This will change with 9.1, but I won't talk about that right now. Pretty much boomies right now, we have really strong dot damage. It's kind of similar to Shadow Priest. Really good single target, really good burst damage, really good AoE, dot pressure damage, really good survivability, kind of less defensive as a Shadow Priest, but I mean, what can you do? So let's get into it. Let's get into the specifics. Why/what does Balanced Druid do? Sunfire, Moonfire. Sunfire, AoE damage over time. If I use it on this one target, it'll apply to everyone around them. This is really good in RBDs, and is probably my favorite ability in Battlegrounds in general. Dot damage. Star Surge just absolutely chunks. Star Surge just hits for 3,000, which, of course, if you're more geared and you have Lunar Eclipse, cooldowns, berserking, all of that, it's just going to hit for even harder. Also pretty spammable, you know, only 30 astral power, you'll find yourself at 100 astral power pretty often, so you can just launch off 3 Star Surges on a single target if you really want, so that single target burst is definitely there. Going back to what I mentioned earlier about Starfall, cast while moving, I'll showcase here. This is my favorite part about Balanced Druid. Just being able to cast while moving, and then you just reapply it. And then you cast while moving again. And it's just this, never ending in a battleground. And something to note is you can cast Regrowth while you're doing this cast while moving thing. So that's really strong. On top of that, we have really good defensiveness. Currently, we have Guardian Affinity with Frenzied Regen. Frenzied Regen, of course, just, you know, gives you a lot of health. And then we have a certain Conduit, which also procs Frenzied Regen whenever you fall below, I believe, 35% health. So pretty good single target burst, really good dot damage, really good dot pressure as well. Good cooldowns, and of course, I hope we all know what Convoke the Spirits does at this point. I'll showcase it right here, in case you're curious. If we get any Star Surges on the main guy, no Star Surges, okay. But you'll see there, my Star Surge is hitting for about 6,000 non-crits on the guy that is a boss, so I'm actually going to be hitting for around 6,000 on people that are my level. 6,000 non-crits, by the way. So, I mean, you've seen balanced druids, guys. You've seen it. They're really strong right now. They're really tanky. I think a lot of the reason they're strong right now is, of course, Convoke the Spirits. Their dot damage has always been pretty good throughout many expansions, but what separates them this expansion is just the really good single target damage with Star Surge and Convoke the Spirits, and then a lot of them mix it with a crit legendary. Balance of all things, which just grants you 40% crit. So, that's why they're good offensively. Defensively, of course, we have Bear Form, which just reduces damage we take. We have increased healing from honor talents. We have the 2 frenzied regen heals from normal, Guardian Affinity, and Conduits as well. And in general, our damage is good, our defensiveness is good. I'd say our weakest part is our crowd control, however, we do have Cyclone, which we can just spam, and of course Roots and Typhoon as well. So, Balanced Root is number 3. In conclusion, it just does a lot of damage, good defensiveness, and the playstyle is what I enjoy. I enjoy dotting things and running around and having little to no repercussions of it, and Balanced Druid definitely provides that to me. You'll find that with all these classes, they're just kind of flavor of the month classes, and I don't know, you shouldn't be too surprised behind that. Number 4, Ret Pally. What makes Ret Pally fun / strong? Seraphim. 8% versatility, on top of 24% versatility, 32% versatility, and then 40% increase on that 32%, so that's about 45% damage increase. Completely baseline as a Ret Pally. That 45% damage increase mixed with our Mastery, another 23, so now we're at, quick math, 68, so close, one away from the perfect number. We're at 68% damage increase, essentially. On top of Wings, that's another 20%. So, 88% damage increase. You can combine this with Saltwater Potion and Berserking for 100 and... numbers hurt brain. 140% damage increase around there. The long story short, we have a lot of damage increases just built into our kit. You'll often find Pallies just one-shotting people. This guy is not 2-geared, nor am I the right build, but I will show you guys the burst here. But yeah, our burst is really good. We'll showcase it here. I'm going to mute these guys just because they're god-awful annoying. But we'll pop burst here, pop Seraphim, get 32%. Ursa, pop cooldowns, Hammer of Wrath. I'm also Venethir Covenant, by the way, so that's why you won't see me pop Divine Toll. But yeah, our burst is pretty geared, or our burst is pretty good. AoE burst is also exceptionally good with Sanctified Wrath talent as well. My personal favorite lower talent. Yeah, our damage is good. Our single target burst is pretty crazy. On top of that, I'd say, aside from just their damage, what makes them strong is pretty... They have really good utility right now. They have Uncleansable, Unbound Freedom, which if you take this honor talent, Freedom can no longer be dispelled / spell stolen from you. On top of that, of course, the normal Divine Steed, 45-second cooldown. Word of Glory, more defensive kind of abilities here. Word of Glory, no mana cost at all. 3%, 3 Holy Power, heals you for 5,000. And this is completely spammable. No matter what you're doing, as long as you have this Holy Power going, you can just spam Word of Glory healing. Pretty much forever, as long as you have the Holy Power. I think a lot of people underlook this, especially because it costs no mana, but that's... I don't know. I think Word of Glory is really strong right now. Of course, we have Flash of Light heals, Word of Glory heals, Shield of Vengeance, which has the chance to do literal 11,000 damage back to the target that kills the shield, if he's the only guy around attacking it, / around the shield when it breaks. Of course, we have the normal Bubble, Bop, Freedom, Sacrifice, Lay on Hands, all of that. Really what separates this expansion from previous expansions is just the damage increase and how versatility works. If versatility wasn't as I don't know, strong as it is right now, I don't think Ret Pally would be on this list. But since we have 40% damage increase whenever you use Seraphim in PvP, I mean, that's why it's on this list. How do you not play a class that just has like 70 to 80% damage increase at all times PvP? And then the heals and defensiveness, of course, just adds on top of that. So, Ret Pally, number 4. Last one on the list, guys. It's Sub Rogue. What is the main reason why I like Sub Rogue? It's this thing. 100% crit chance for 4 seconds every time we go into stealth. This is what every rogue runs pretty much right now, and is what makes rogue so fun for me currently. I'd like to note that this legendary is getting nerfed in 9.1, so I will have as much fun with it in 9.0.5 as possible. But aside from the legendary, our damage is actually pretty good right now, especially a sub-rogue. Our damage is coming out of burst, using Shadow Dance, using damage amplifications, Shadow Blades, all that. Even without the crit chance, our damage is really good. There's also kind of a one-shot build hovering around there with Weapon Master, Night Stalker, Dark Shadow, Prey on the Weak, and then it's certain legendary. This one, 50% damage increase on top of the normal damage increases through our talent. Then they also take Dagger in the Dark for more damage increase on top of that. So that's kind of a one-shot build that I haven't personally played, but I've seen kind of clips of on YouTube and Twitch. If you're a rogue out there, you have high item level, I suggest you try this out. It will be pretty fun. You'll probably get some one-shots. Aside from our damage, which I will showcase here soon, of course, we just have the normal rogue things. Incredible control from Chief Shot, Kidney Shot, Blind, Sap. Yeah, you know what rogue does by now. Also, aside from, I guess, the control that they have really good defensiveness. I always talk about elusiveness because I don't think Blizzard knows how strong it is. 30% damage reduction on a 15-second cooldown, 28 rage. As long as you spec into this talent, you gain 30% damage reduction for 5 seconds whenever you use Feint. I always say it's broken. I use that word way too much, but in my opinion, elusiveness is straight up broken for Rogue. I don't think Rogue should have 30% damage reduction on a 15-second cooldown. I'm sorry, Blizzard. Anyway, aside from elusiveness, evasion increases your dodge chance by 100% for 10 seconds. Really good against any melee, really, except Arms Warrior, because they can use Overpower into it, but that is the only spell that can hit you while using evasion. And then Cloak of Shadows. Cloak of Shadows and Crimson Vial. Crimson Vial only heals you for 20% of your max health, down from 30 from BFA. That's okay. Still a heal. And then, of course, we have Cloak of Shadows. We all know what it does. It wipes all dots from you, all magical effects from you, and makes you immune to them for 5 seconds. Let's talk about Burst, and I'll showcase the Burst here. And the Burst is the main reason you'd want to play Rogue, to be honest. So, no poisons, don't really care. You should have Wound Poison, Crippling Poison up. I'm too lazy to apply those, but here's the Burst without using Shadow Dance or any type of offensive cooldowns. I'll use Marked for Death just because it's pretty necessary to use Marked for Death. We'll wait the 30 seconds for it to come up anyway, but you'll see there, no cooldowns. 3.6k DPS. All I did was press Shadow Strike like twice and use Eviscerate twice. That's it. And you can spam this burst as much as you want. Once we get Marked for Death up, I'll show you guys the actual burst, which is, it's definitely a lot more damage. It is definitely a lot more damage. I'm just gonna say that, but pretty much in Battlegrounds, you're just spamming this stealth, come out of stealth, open, re-stealth type of playstyle just for the crit chance. I'll show the cooldowns here now as well. And I'll throw a dagger there, just for the memes. Yeah, 7k DPS on opening on that guy. Another thing to note is if you are Necrolord Rogue, I really like Necrolord, by the way. You can open on a target and just spam Serrated Bone Spike and kind of just get max combo points from it. I'll showcase here. It just chunks too. It hits for pretty much as hard as a Shadow Strike, so that's Sub Rogue, man. It's strong. You see a lot of rogues right now, and there's good reason behind this. You probably see all of these classes a lot, and there's good reason behind it. This could be my top 5 favorite DPS classes, or it could be just top 5 strong classes. They're pretty much the same. It's hard for me to like a class that isn't doing / performing well right now. The one that comes to mind is Death Knight and Brewmaster, but that's a different story and another video. If you guys like the video, go ahead and like the video to help me in the YouTube algorithm. Also, subscribe if you made it this far. If you made it this far, let me know. Let me know in the comments. Say, I made it, smiley. As always, guys, thank you for watching. I'm going to be making a top 5 least favorite classes for 9.0.5, so expect that within, you know, a month, a few weeks, something like that, because you guys need to know what's bad and what to avoid. So, as always, guys, thank you for watching. Till next time, take it easy.